Dan Illman, Mike Beer taking a look at race number 7 at Woodbine, kickoff leg of a 20-cent pick four on a really nice Saturday afternoon card. It's the Grade 2 Highlander. We're going 3/4 of a mile on the E.P. Taylor turf course. Let's take a look at this field. $200,000 is the purse and a very competitive group of 9. Filo Ariana, the number 6, is the 2-1 morning line favorite. And talk about a class drop. In his last 2 races, he has had the misfortune to run into Cogburn, who is freakishly fast. He ran really well against Cogburn two-back.
Yeah, he did finish. He ran well in that race. He had no chance last time with Cogburn running up the score to a 111 buyer. So yeah, they're just taking a step back with him here. I also kind of get the feeling, Dan, that this turf course and the 6 furlongs, it's a little better than 5 and 5.5 that he's running his first 3 starts this year.
I think that's a really good point. He's 3 for 3 at Woodbine. And as we throw up the time form US pace projector, he's a horse you can depend on to either get to the lead or sit just off, which means when they turn into the stretch, he's going to be prominently placed, and the onus is on the others to come get him.
Yeah, very, very good point. He's supposed to be forward in here. I felt like this pace could be fair, if not fast. But either way, it doesn't feel like it's really going to bother the 6.
Secret Reserve, the number 1, is a big price on the tote board. This is a horse, though, that's shown some speed this year in both starts, especially in his first off the layoff, where he was really fresh. He blasted out to the lead, and he just got tired at the very end. Most recently, going 7/8 on the turf, press, fade. He's turning back in distance. I think that might help him. The problem is he's stepping way up in class.
It could help him cutting back a little. I didn't love his most recent turf start. You know, I didn't feel like the distance was the problem there, Dan. I felt like it just wasn't good enough in that allowance race. And now they're going to move him up in class and face even better horses.
County Finals last couple of running lines don't look very good. Let's be honest. They ran him in the Appleton at Monmouth. He was double digits on the tote. He never picked up his feet. They ran him in the Oaklawn Handicap on dirt. I won't hold that race against him. Skippy Longstocking, who won, popped something like a 107 buyer speed figure. His prior synthetic and turf form is good. And I like that Saffie Joseph is running him here because he gets Lasix. And maybe that's kind of the key.
That's a really good point. I also look at him this way. Tell me if you agree with this or not. And I know that when they stretched him out on synthetic over the winter, he ran some really nice races. I think he's a sprinter, Dan. I've always thought he was a sprinter. I understand why they kept going long with him because he ran okay in those all-weather races. This horse is a sprinter to me, and I think this is the kind of race he belongs running in.
Just consider he was 4-1 in the Nearctic last year, caught a very yielding turf course. He's 20-1 on the morning line here. And as Mike mentions, he might be dirtied up because they've run him at the wrong distance recently against very tough competition. Yeah. Oceanic is the number 3. This is a horse that was a nibbler early in his career. He really had lots of second, third place efforts. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Not so last time out at Keeneland. Let's watch Oceanic's race. This is a high-level allowance in his first start of the year. He got a really nice closer's trip. Once he gets into the clear, though, he comes with a blast.
Yeah, he really runs well in here. He got a great overall trip in this race, but he does really run here, and it's nice to see him, finally get back to the winner's circle again because it had been quite a while in between wins for this horse. It's a good effort. It's a fast effort. I guess if he runs it back, he's super dangerous in this race, Dan. I just didn't think he'd be a great price, and I didn't necessarily trust him.
Saratoga Flash, the number 4, also goes out for Saffie Joseph, like the number 2. And this guy seems to be in career best form. They stepped him up into the Canadian turf 2 starts back. He showed the way. He tired. Here's the Appleton last time out during the tail end of the Gulfstream Park Championship meet. And as you see, Edgar Zayas has him down inside, and he's going to squeeze on through and come with a good run to finish second. The trip worked out.
Great ride here. He had just saved all the ground. He took his chances up the rail, which is what you do with long shots, and it really worked out. He had tons of room down there. Pretty tough beat there, too. It looked like he was going to win right down to the stripes, and he just got nailed. It was a good performance. His overall form is fine. I don't know how he's going to do cutting back then. I'm worried about it, but maybe this is the track to do it on because that stretch is long.
Old Chestnut is an old class master, and he's going to race on turf for the first time since last summer in the Connaught Cup, where I thought he ran okay. He was sort of hung out very wide most of the way in that spot. Here's his most recent effort, the Jacques Cartier, going 3/4 on the Tapeta. He's down on the inside. He has a lot of work to do, but he is going to fire up to get second. I wonder if he's racing himself back into form. This will be his 3rd start of the form cycle, and he has a few solid turf sprints in the past.
I like looking at him that way, too. I thought his the 5 furlong race two back, it just seemed like they were using that as a prep, and then he ran a little bit better here, and now maybe he takes one more step forward. I don't mind them coming back to turf either. He handles turf just fine. They ran him in this race last year, Dan. I don't know what you thought about it. To me, I didn't like that performance. I mean, he got a great trip in that race, and he did his best too. He just wasn't good enough.
Now we'll talk about the horse they're all going to have to beat. That's the 6 Filo de Ariana. Perfect 3 for 3 at Woodbine on the turf. And again, just in way too tough against probably the best turf sprinter in the country, Cogburn at Churchill, ran well. As Mike mentioned, no chance against the giant speed figure and what was a North American record going 5.5 in sub 1 minute. He is the horse to beat.
Yeah, he's just the horse to beat here. You're not supposed to hold those, two most recent races against him. And again, he ran very well at Churchill 2 starts back. I like the slightly longer distance for him, Dan. I think this is he can get the right kind of trip in here. His best race might just be too good for these horses. I don't know, man. I just thought they found a great spot for him here.
Hunt Master is up next, and he's going to be a big price on the tote. Another horse that's shown some speed on occasion. He's cutting back significantly in distance, however, after pressing the pace in a 2-turn race on Tapeta. His start on turf 2 starts back, going 7 furlongs. That was pretty good, but he also was able to get to an easy lead. Maybe they get aggressive with him here. He needs to prove it to me, even at a big price against this tougher group.
I agree with all that. I mean, I would say that just about every race he ran on turf last year was fine. There's nothing wrong with any of those performances. I just don't think they're good enough for him to beat a field like this one.
Step Forward is the number 8. Another horse with a little bit of early speed. Now, he popped a giant Beyer speed figure off the layoff 2 starts back. It was going 5/8 on synthetic. Based on that effort, they ran him in the Cartier. He showed some speed. He ended up getting tired and running 4th. It was by far one of his better performances, considering he was in against tough competition. Here's the problem. Turf, step up in class.
Yeah, they're both big problems. The turf might be even a bigger problem, Dan. I mean, his 2 turf races are, I'll just call them mediocre performances, and they're both surrounded by way better performances on the all-weather. It kind of suggests that he's better on that surface.
Filo de Ariana is a horse that we've talked about might be better on this configuration at Woodbine. 3/4 of a mile, long, spacious stretch. I kind of feel the same way about Witty. He's a really big horse. Sometimes it takes him a stride or two to get into a rhythm. And down in the Mid-Atlantic area, he's been doing very well at 5, 5.5. I wonder if 6 is in his wheelhouse. Let's talk about his most recent start, the Jim McKay Turf Sprint. This was a very soft turf course at Pimlico. Witty on the outside is going to get the jump, and he's actually going to put the eventual winner in tight, and it looks like Witty's on his way to victory. The problem is Groom's All Business was really good this day, and then he was really good again, and he's very good right now.
Exactly. I mean, this is the kind, even as good as Groom's All Business has been, you're kind of supposed to win here, Witty, but he just gets steamrolled by this horse. So I know, what are you going to do about it then? I'm glad that you talked about the longer distance, because that's the one thing that I'm worried about with this horse, is he going to be able to sustain that stretch run going 6 furlongs on this turf course? But if he can do it, he can win here.
Interesting with the blinkers off. That to me is kind of a big question mark, because he's been running so well, as you can see, with blinkers. He is going to get Lasix again. Thus far, Lizzie Merriman has pulled all the right levers with Witty 6-1 on the morning line. Let's take a look at our top picks. This is a pretty wide open race. I do think Filo de Ariana is the horse to beat. I like that you've got the 2 in there, because to me, I just think this is a horse that could make a big wake up at a good price.
Me too. I thought the 2 was certainly the most interesting long shot in the race. I want to use him. Ultimately, Dan, I just couldn't talk myself into anybody else. I know he's the favorite in here. I think Filo de Ariana is in a great spot.
I'm curious to see how Witty performs. He's got to get out of the gate. That's always been a little bit of a question mark for him, but the half-brother to Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner Caravel should be running on at the end. 6-2-3-9 for Mike, 9-2-3-8 for me. Good luck.